Carl, I'm in full fan mode. I have been watching you since Banta, so I'm all geeked out here. It is a pleasure and an honor to interview you, sir.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
All right, so I want to start from the very beginning of the character of Isaiah Bradley because, especially for Black comic book fans, seeing him on the screen is something that we've all waited for a long time, right? So
Mm.
going back to your casting in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, were you made aware by like the suits at Marvel that this was going to be something that was going to go into films and live on into other projects?
No, no. All the people I talked to were casually dressed. And at the time, it was simply this great character. And at the time, when I auditioned, it didn't have Isaiah Bradley's name on it, which would not have done me any good because I never read comic books. It was my son who, after I was cast and I learned the character's name, and I mentioned the name to my son, he was the one who said, okay, there's work to be done. You need to get truth and you need to do a deep dive on this research because this character is significant um, as much because of his disappearance as a character as as because of his resurgence within the Marvel world as as an element, as something that spoke to not only what people can do that's super heroic if they have technology, if they have certain substances running through their veins, but the super heroic nature of people as they exist. All 300 of those individuals, well, 299, who were in that camp with Isaiah Bradley, who did not make it. They were super heroic. What they were doing was they were offering themselves for a greater cause. They were offering themselves for the good of the country, as was he. And they were all betrayed. And that could create one of two tracks. You could become incredibly bitter and want to tear it all down, or you could consider yourself grateful for having survived and want to represent those who are not as fortunate as you in continuing to find a place for yourselves in the world.
Oh, that's a brilliant answer. Appreciate that one. All right, so let's jump now to the film. Okay, so the series just comes out. It's a hit, and I want to kind of get into the reaction of it a little bit later on. But let's talk about the current film right now because that's prescient. So basically, Julius Ona is going to be the director. You got a black director. You got Anthony Mackie, a black star. You're back on. Talk about just being cast in New World Order as it was at the time, and what you expected when filming started.
Um, well, it was wonderful because it was an opportunity to continue forward with Isaiah Bradley. Julius Ona is a tremendous filmmaker. He's a very thoughtful individual, and he's one of those people who does not he doesn't speak reams and reams and reams of words, but he has it's like he curates his language for you in a way that helps provide both images of his own, and he listens so that he's also helping unearth those images that you have. So I found it very collegial. I thought that what he wanted to do with the film writ large was beautiful in my mind because I thought he wanted it to be thoughtful. He wanted connection to be a large part of it, and he wanted empathy. He wanted people to care and feel about the situation that all of these characters were in, the mix of it, because I think that represents exactly where we always are in life. There's a mix of things going on. We are inside some of them, outside others. We are at effect of some of them. We're causing some of them, perpetrating some of them. Um, and we have to make choices about all of those ways in which we show up in this world. And I think Julius helped wrap that core with all of the action, the technology, the significance of Sam Wilson's Captain America, the ascendance of Joaquin Torres as the Falcon, and Isaiah is grounding in a way. I think Isaiah represents us, the survival of a people who continue to contribute, who on a certain day might not feel certain that it's going to be of great benefit to them, but it might be of benefit to those who come afterward.
So one of the things that I noticed following Falcon and Winter Soldier, leading into the announcement of the film and the shooting processes, there is that negative group out there. I call them the haters. That they were like, we don't want a black Captain America. We don't want to see Isaiah Bradley. And then the idea of Anthony Mackie becoming this American figure, right? All of a sudden, the spotlight's on him. Everything he says is dissected, and there's a lot of negativity poured on him, right? And
Mhm.
so for people like us, hopefully I'm lumping you and me in the same category. That really annoyed me because I'm like, let's give this film a chance and let's see how it's going to be, right? And then you
Mhm.
have this other thing that comes in with reshoots and all this stuff, and there's this like noise that keeps building. So, as an actor, as a primary actor in the film, do you hear that nonsense? Do you let it affect you, or do you just say let the work speak for itself, let it come out and speak for itself?
I think the latter. I think, there's a tremendous amount of noise in the world, and I'm very selective about which frequencies I tune into. You're aware of them, you hear them. When Truth was first done, the same exact. And I think I don't call them haters, I call them the scared ones.
Hmm.
Because I believe it's fear. I think the idea that the world as I understand it is really, really well formed. And whether or not I agree with everything in it, I trust that world. Anything new that expands that or that requires me to expand my own vision, for some people, that's too scary. It's just too scary. There are people who, have never flown across an ocean. And it's not because they didn't have the opportunity, it's because they're afraid of being in an airplane, flying over water and going someplace far away where you can't get a burger. Um, it's fear, and it's not particularly rational. So when people feel fear, I think they try to find a way to make it rational for themselves. So the reason so that are given, well, it's never been done before, or that's not my idea of how it should be, and I got used to seeing it one way, and I don't want to see it change. I I I can relate to being afraid. I've had many situations where I have been afraid. And if it's something I really want to do, then I just have to move forward with that fear. If it's something that I really want to experience, then I just accept that that's the way it is for some people. They'll be scared. I'm not. And for people like me who are not afraid, we're going to have a good time.
Oh, that's a great answer. So just following up on that, today when we were talking, I just happened to look online, and the film has grossed $415 million at the box office, almost $500 million, right? So you're sitting on a monster success. So is there a little bit of you that says, we showed you? Do you feel like a little bit of that right now?
Um, No, because I don't quantify it really. I think over, like maybe over the next 5 years, who knows the dollar amounts that, even after the release of it for streaming and the sale of the DVDs, I'm sure it'll be a much bigger figure. Now, what it does represent is um, a repudiation for those people who say it won't work, it can't work, no one will watch it, no one will like it. And I feel the satisfaction that the way I felt about it when I read it, the way I felt about it when I saw it in the theater, that's shared by a large group of people, represented by how much money it's made, but more so represented for me in the uh, type of response that I've gotten from the most important people in this equation, audience. Some beautiful things have been said. People have said quite often this felt a little different from the Captain America movie that I experienced before, and I liked it. I felt that it was more thoughtful. I felt that it had more of a political thriller feel to it. I felt like there's a quality of connection and people regarding one another inside all of the requisite splashes and crashes and bangs and booms. There's a story being told, and it's the story of people trying to make the world better.
Another fantastic answer. So let's extol the greatness of Anthony Mackie, because I've been
Right.
lucky to interview him from day one in his career to now, and he's had this arc of just doing so much good work that now
Mhm.
we kind of see him at the forefront, and it's marvelous, right? And so I can't remember if you were working with him in Altered Carbon, but
Yeah.
looking at the arc of his career from then to being with him on Falcon and Winter Soldier, to seeing him headline this monster blockbuster MCU movie where he's the lead above Harrison Ford. I
Mhm.
mean, has he changed at all? Is he drinking champagne? Is he coming to work at a limousine? What's his experience been like from your point of view?
I cannot, I really, I can't say definitively that none of what you said is true or that all of what you said is true. I think I go back with Anthony to the first time I believe I saw him was Hurt Locker, and how there's something my father used to say is not all shut eye sleep. So just because someone is not shouting about what they do, just because someone is not at the top of the mountain waving flags and banners, just because someone is not massively amplified, does not mean that they aren't doing the work. And every time I see Anthony, he is doing the work. I think he is just a wonderful actor, and beyond that, I think he is a quite tremendous mind. I think Anthony is a very, very, very intelligent man who's also a natural leader. And I guess by that I mean he's not looking to follow, he's following himself. And if anybody wants to jump on, he's having a good time. So come on. But when it's time for work, that's what's happening. When it's time for relaxation, fun, to let some of the pressure out, he's there for you. When it's time for a belly laugh or a spit take, that's Anthony is your man. So it's gratifying for me. I think Anthony represents in some ways a journey that many people hope will continue in all sorts of endeavors, where the way you do something is much important than what you look like doing.
Bravo. All right, so I know you probably can't, reveal much, but I have to ask this question. So, with the future MCU stuff coming out, the Avengers films, Doomsday, Secret Wars, have you been reached out to be cast in those films? Are we going to see Isaiah in those films?
Um, no and yes. I have not been reached out to, and we will see him. I'm just sort of claiming that there has been no corroboration on that yet. And if it never comes, don't hold it against me.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for answering the question. So just going back to your career, right? Taking away the Captain America bit for a little second here.
Mhm.
You've done so much stuff. Like when you think of an actor, film, theater, television, video games. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, so I remember you on Cagney and Lacey. I
Mm.
went to college in the 90s, so I saw you on Mantis, which was one of my favorite shows. And if there's a God, they'll bring that back in some incarnation and bring you back in that incarnation. So when you look at this career point up to now, that you're doing these, MCU films. What do you like better? I mean, do you like being the big blockbuster stuff, or do you see yourself as a theater actor, or maybe better on TV? What's your favorite thing to play?
Well, I see myself as a stage actor first because that was the first thing that happened, and that's where I found my love for the work. And I think whatever process I have in approaching character, I got that from stage. But in terms of what I participate in, um, anything that has a ledge wide enough for me to get a handhold, and feels like I'm climbing, like I'm active, like I have to use the operate at the top of my intelligence to to achieve what I want to achieve with a character, to make a character fit inside a world harmoniously. I'm for that, and I've been fortunate because I've gotten opportunities to do that in all these different forms. And for me, it's all just still acting.
Bravo. So for our audience, this is more of like, a question to kind of have them look back at your career, because I'm of a certain age. I've seen a lot of stuff you've done, but for many people, they've only seen you, let's say, in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and in Captain America. And you can go to your IMDb page and see credits, credits, credits galore going back for decades. So if there's one thing you can say to our audience, go back and look at this. I was really, really fond of this performance in particular. What do you want to single out for our audience?
Wow.
If something pops up, I don't want to put you on the
South
spot.
Central.
Say that again.
There's a film called South Central. I play a character named Ali, and I was very proud of that film and pleased with my work in it. And then, if anybody wanted to really go deep, there's a film called Men of Honor with
Oh,
Cuba Gooding, and I have a very small role. Go early and don't blink during the first 2 minutes. But I'm as proud of that work as I am of much of what I've done because, in some ways, it was so small, and because the character had to make an impression on another character, and I felt um, like I did that. And I was very pleased by it. And the story is a wonderful story. Carl Brashear, Navy diver. Um, Cuba Gooding did a beautiful job in it. Angelou Ellis is in it. There's Robert De Niro is in it. It and I'm in it for a minute and 18 seconds of sheer joy.
bravo. Well, they're giving me the rap notice, Carl. I'm a
Thank
big
you.
fan of yours. Thank you for your time again. I appreciate
My
it, sir.
pleasure, Julie. Thank you.